there, my name is Erik and I normally play bass, but today I'm gonna show you how I mixed the live version of Revolution with Insania. Before we get started with this video is not sponsored in any way, shape or form by any of the plugin brands mentioned in this video. I'm doing this entirely on my own behalf, so to speak, and because people asked me how I did this. So with all this being said and done, let's get started. So last week we released the first live video from Warriors of Steel, which was of the Land of the Winter Sun. For that video, I used the camera audio that I got provided with the video file by Mr. Marius, who was the festival organizer and who also plays in the Valley of Doom, and, you know, who is just an amazing guy. Shout out Marius. I don't know if you noticed, but the vocals were distorting a bit in that mix, and that was due to our inner monitoring rig sending a too hot signal to front of house or something like that. We didn't have too much time to troubleshoot that during the live show, so it was what it was. It sounded okay, but, you know, distorted vocals are not particularly what you want in power metal, I guess. However, I did hook up my MacBook to the Behringer X32 that we're using as the mixer for our inners, and I did have, you know, multi-tracks recorded of the entire show. However, the drums sounded like this. We had kick drum and a wee bit of snare, but not much. And that is not something that you want to, you know, release to the masses for a live video. So that was why we went with the camera audio for the first video. However, I thought to myself, I wonder if I can mix the audio from the camera with this audio that I got recorded here. However, I don't want those, you know, distorted vocals to take over and whatnot. And lo and behold, thanks to the help of AI and, you know, stem splitter in Logic, I was able to do the mix that you heard in the live video. So here is how I did that, and here is something that hopefully can help someone out there who's perhaps in the same predicament somewhere along the line. Here is how I saved the recording that we had. So let's start off with the drum tracks. We have 3 tracks going here for the drums, and they sound like this, isolated. I mean, sure, you can hear some artifacts going on there. However, in a full mix, it's not too bad, if you ask me. So it works, and here's how I did that. So down here, we actually have the stereo file. That's the camera audio. Sounds like this. And I've actually left that in the full mix to give, you know, the mix some, you know, wideness and, you know, give the illusion of a room mic, if you will, which kind of works. So what I did was that I took this audio file and I used the stem splitter, which then gave me the drums. I'm not going to do it now, so, you know, but that's how we do it. And over here are actually the stems. So over here we actually have the rest of the band apart from the drums, so it sounds like this. So it's I mean, it works, but it's not, you know, hi-fi, if you will. So that is why I went with you know, the multi-tracks instead. Anyways, that's how that sounded. And as you can see here, I've cut out the drums. I also cut out the vocals because I thought, hey, maybe I can use that for something as well, but I did not end up using that. But yeah, that anyways is how I got the drums isolated in that way. However, the drums on their own sound like this. Let's skip forward a bit. So drums on their own sound like this. which sounds pretty cool. However, kind of want more kick drum. So what I did then was that I took the kick track that I got here. I don't know why it's down there. It should be up there. I took the kick track and I use the drum replacement function in Logic, and by using that I got this MIDI track that I was able to use to trigger samples from Modern Massive 2 by Get Good Drums. So the kicks, the trigger kicks sound like this. These kicks are not quantized in any way. These are, what Mikko played essentially. And adding that to this drum track gives it a bit more oomph. Here is without the kicks. A bit clearer transient, if you will. However, the guys, when I sent the first mix version to them, they were like, yeah, it sounds great, but the snare is a bit quiet. And you probably can't do anything about that, can you? Well, actually I could. So here's how I did that, because this is pretty funny actually. So I used the silencer plugin from Black Salt Audio. So I had it set for snare. So here are the drums without that plugin. And with it. So by using this, I was able to isolate the snare, and then I did a mix down of just the snare track, which is down here. Oh, it's muted now. So just the snare, and then I used that and the replace drum function to get this. A snare also from Modern Massive 2. So using Trackspacer, I was able to isolate the snare track and thus get a fuller, drum sound, essentially. So yeah, that's how I got the drums to sound the way that they did in the video, which is kind of fun actually. I'm pretty proud of myself for thinking of that, solution by using silencer. So let's go to the other tracks. Let's start with the bass. The bass is, this is my live bass tone. This is my Yamaha Attitude Limiter 3 tuned to D standard, straight into my Neural D-Speak Quad Cortex, and the only thing that I did in post was to add the FET compressor to, bump up the volume a wee bit. So here's what the bass sounds like. So you kind of need the compressor to, make it audible. Nothing fancy going on there. Guitars is what we got down here. So here is Ola, and I did actually add a wee bit of reverb and delay to his track because we forgot to plug in the MIDI cable to his Nano Cortex, so it didn't change, patches the way it was supposed to, so he didn't get the reverb and delay for his lead tone. So sorry Ola, but I did that in post. So I used the reverb and delay from Archetype Nolly. So here's Ola's lead track. And it's a stereo file, so I panned it hard right and then -26 to left. And over here is Niklas rhythm guitar. Nothing, going on there in post. I did add the guitar bus preset to the entire guitar bus or folder. And nothing crazy going on there with the EQ and whatnot. Just, some without it, with it. So yeah. And I was a bit lazy, so I actually, ended up splitting and moving around the guitar parts to the different, lead tracks and whatnot, just because I didn't feel like, automating reverb and delay for some reason. I was lazy. Sorry about that. But yeah, the guitars sound like this together. And I did the same over here with Niklas' lead part, because he didn't have enough reverb and delay on his lead tone. So yeah, he got some more reverb and delay. And also I used Archetype and Ollie for that as well. So yeah, those are the guitars. Nothing, super fancy going on there, but it works in the context of a full mix. Then we have the backing tracks, and these are just the stereo files that, we send to front of house. I've panned them hard right and hard left, and they are there, and they do their thing. Down here, I've actually cut out this part. The sound of revolution. Because all of the instruments are being sent to a bus here, which has the Trackspacer plugin on it, and I didn't want those vocals to get multi-band compressed and whatnot, so I moved them over there again because I'm lazy and I didn't feel like doing some automation. It works, so there's that. Those are the backing tracks, and last but not least we have the vocals. Really straightforward here. We've got Ola here singing. Can't you see our world is falling? And I did use some automation here to get rid of noises and stuff when he's not singing, and mic bleed. So Ola is a great singer. He's got great microphone technique, even though he's playing guitar at the same time, and nothing fancy going on with the vocals. I've got him sent into this preset. It's the male pop preset that I tweaked out a wee bit, and then it's going into two different buses here. One also on the virtual mix rack, which is the fat vintage vocals, and this is just to give the vocals a bit more oomph. And we got a separate bus going into some delay and reverb, and counting down to number 0. We need some heroes. And a full mix. But to be fair, all men with power living free, no matter what the people need. Sounds pretty good if you ask me. The Trackspacer, quick shout out to that one from Waves Factory. Really cool. Here is without it. Why can't you feel? Stand up for each other. And with it, we must stand up for each other, sister and brother. We need to raise our voice. I love that he's laughing and having a good time. It's just great to hear that. So Trackspacer, it makes space for the vocals in the mix, which is great, because you need to have the vocals pop in a mix like this. So that's how I did it. Not much else going on. The big thing was, to get the drums to sound the way that they did. I could have gone with just this track. Would have worked kind of fine. Here is in the full mix context. Under your oppression, make your confession, 'cause you don't have no choice. Father, we need to raise our voice. We've been under your oppression. However, adding, the extra kick drum and the extra snare, gives some more punch to drums, and you want punch in your drums. And that's why Modern Massive is so good, because it's, it's punchy. The drums there are super punchy. And the reason why I didn't go with just one iteration of Modern Massive was that I wanted more, you know, individual control over the kick and the snare. And again, I could have done that in Modern Massive, but I felt lazy and didn't feel like, you know, doing it that way. So that's why we got 2 tracks here of, you know, kick and snare, but it works. So yeah. So one thing that's pretty cool is that this wouldn't have been possible, you know, 5 years ago. This is all thanks to, you know, the stem splitter in Logic, and, you know, there are other options if you're using other DAWs. But yeah, it's a really cool tool, and it works great for this, you know, to, you know, isolate the drum tracks and give us more than just a kick. So there you have it. I hope that this can be, you know, helpful to someone out there who's perhaps in the same predicament as I was when I was, you know, sitting down with the mix and realizing that, hey, I only have the kick drum here. So one of the lessons learned here is that you should always set up, you know, a camera by the mixing desk and capture the entire show with a stereo microphone, because you never know when you're gonna need a nice mix of the drums to go with the recorded multi-tracks. So yeah, there you have it. My name is Erik and I normally play bass. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell, and I'll see you guys and gals and cats and dogs in the next video. Until next time, take care. Bye.